Hi everyone. Well, spare time, so I thought I'd do a quick video on my tour bike. So, starting from the front, GoPro mount. It's important, don't use GoPro particularly much, but sometimes people like looking at videos. I like looking at videos, so if I make videos, you make videos, great, we can all sit and watch them and then hopefully get some ideas. So, bar ends. I love my bar ends. You've got to it. You can move your hand around, so if you come around, you're sitting on the bike, rather than sitting like that the whole entire time, you can lean on it and move your hand around in different positions. I'm not a fan of the Jones bars that a lot of the tour bikes have and stuff, so a flat bar man through and through, come from a mountain biking background, always want flat bar. But these things are generally hated in the mountain bike market, so but they really help you when you're out touring. You can move your hand around and hopefully stop your hands from getting pins and needles or going numb and things like that as well, which is something that I suffer from quite badly. So that's what I have in front of there. Short stem, nice purple stem, just as for aesthetics, as simple as that, nothing special about it. A little purple bit inside of here is just because it fits 35 or 31.8 bars, which these are. Bars are Thompson, can't remember what model Thompson they are. What are we? Thompson trial bars. I think they are 760, 780 wide, something like that. As I said, I come from a mountain biking background. Plus, with the bar ends on it, they take about 20 mil each side off of it. So they're not actually as wide as you think they are. But they are still pretty wide, considering most of you guys usually have shorter bars. Zoom brakes, cheap and nasties, but I wasn't paying for purple hopes, and there's not very many purple brakes out there, but actually surprisingly bloody good brakes, but I'll show you why in a minute. What else do I have on it? We have rigid forks, as that looks like suspension, but not suspension look about it, rather than the bladed forks and stuff. I just prefer them, they look better when you're looking down on the bike. They're pretty awesome as well. They give the bike a more aggressive feel when I'm out in it. I just really like them. Although they flex quite badly when you're braking, you can actually see them flex back and forward. And if you brake quite hard, they'll ping forward slightly. It's like a elastic band. I've had them for 4 years and never had an issue, so never complain. Not going to really complain about it. They are made by a company called Exotic, which is Exotic Carbon Cycles, I think is the name of the actual company. Cheap eBay ones, but as I said, I had them for 4 years, never an issue. Really like them. I have Schwalbe G1 Speeds. Originally had Big Apples on it, but they need replaced, and I couldn't find 2.35 Big Apples anymore. Schwalbe, I think, have stopped making them, but they've really been focusing on these G1s, so I think that's probably going to be their main tyre for semi-slick and fairly big. Like this is 29 by 2.35, so they are a large size tyre. Front one's tubeless, back one was tubeless, so I'll explain that when I got the back. Well, it's not anymore. The bike itself is actually an On One or Planet X, whichever you want to call it. It's a One Inbred, full steel frame, chrome ollie. I'll show you the sticker in a minute with the version of steel that it is, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Other bits, bits we fell over. Other bits down here are Kinesis. Kinesis make the wheels. The wheels are 29, up to 29 wheels, or 728, what you want to really call them. They are 35mm wide, fantastically wide. I love a wide tire, a wide rim. The reason for that is you don't get sidewall flex, and when you run really fat tires like I've got on this bike, that becomes a bit of an issue. So. Absolutely fantastic set of wheels. I've actually got another set on one of my other bikes as well. The brake rotors, 203s, massive 203s, with those zoom calipers on there as well. Now, these are made by a company called Uberbike. Fantastic parts normal from Uberbike. Usually the brake pads are pretty damn decent, but actually on this bike, I'm using EBC's top of the range pads with the Uber rotors. They're the brakes from what they were when they were new, with the crappy pads that comes in the zoom forks, the zoom brakes. They were terrible. Then I put the elite pads in with these rotors, and they are deadly. I mean, oh my god, they're better than my 4 pots on my fat bike. They're really good. So moving on, what else do we have? Nice big heavy duty front light, runs USB. I'll show you in a second. We'll go to the back how it fits and how it works. A little bit of a steer extension because the fork's been on a couple of bikes. It's a bit too short for me, so steer extension on there just to bring it up. I'm quite tall, well, tallish, 5'11", so bike's a 19-inch. I prefer a low standover height, but I could actually probably fit a 20 no problem. Excuse the bike porn. There we go. So on One Inbred, and it is, oh, the steel thing's around here somewhere. Can't see it, but I'm sure there's a bit somewhere tells me what type of steel it is. Runs Brooks saddle with the USB for my light being in here. There you go. Runs down, light runs down there, connects through a USB extension, runs all the way up to the front forks, and awesome, really, really bright. Nothing mega expensive. Bike was originally meant to be a cheap bike, but well, these things change. So gearing in the middle is 2x, which has those custom chainring bolts on it, and 32 tooth is where the chain's on just now, and a 48 on the top. And this caused many discussion in the tour bike forums. Everybody thinks, oh, it's too big, it's road bike gearing, but then on the back of a massive cog. I'll explain that in a minute. I have to run a road bike front derailleur for a shift that size. Pain in the ass, ultra strong springs. Doesn't matter to a large road bike lever, but the little small thumb shifters, that thing makes my thumb on the left hand side look like Arnold Schwarzenegger's thumb. Oh, why is the bike not going to stay where it is? There we go. Pedals, there are new ones coming in. I did actually have a set of purple pedals on it, and they ceased within about a month of owning them. Terrible pedals, so I've just got a cheap set on just now. Really nice set of purple ones coming, and they're just not in just yet. You'll probably see them if you on the same bike forums as I am and stuff like that. Rear, same Schwalbe G1 29 by 2.35 with a mud hugger on the rear. This bike does take a pannier rack, but I don't use it most of the time. I'm not a long distance tourer. Well, the bike could do it no problem. I tend to do part-time, call it part-time touring, but I do own a business, as you can see with the bike's not in the background, so I never get time to do big, long tours. Brooks saddles, nice. It's a B17. I don't know whether I like it or not. Hurts my nuts, I'll be honest. Hurts my nuts. That little Gucci bit between your nuts and your rear end, we'll call it, it's quite sore. It's off here somewhere where that bolt and everything is, and it's not a comfortable seat, as everybody keeps telling me. But, well, we'll just have to roll with it just now, because it's the only seat I've got. I'm not buying another one. The bottom bracket is a Hope. Oh, this bike's supposed to keep falling over. Stay where you are. It's a Hope bottom bracket. Got that quite cheap. Suddenly I made a mistake. One of my customers, when they ordered it, I don't do Hope, and they ordered the wrong one. So I bought it off them because they want to send it back. So I was quite lucky that way. That's the only reason it's got Hope. Otherwise I would have had the Shimano one, because there's no way I would have paid the £80 for the Hope bottom bracket. So this is the bit where, when we're talking about the front gear being really, really big, the back gear is a 4211. So the first gear in it is well bigger than most of the standard ones out there that run 3x8 and 3x9, and they usually run like a 22, 32, 42 at the front with a, I don't know, 1132, where this one's an 1142. So it's quite big. First gear is actually surprisingly easy. Runs the Bob Gear QR axle, and that's why it doesn't have a pannier on the bike. Because I use the Bob Gear trailer, and that is why I run the same back brake setup as I have at the front. So it's an Uber Bike 203 with the same elite pads and zoom brake and stuff like that. And the reason for that is the Bob Gear is like a freight train. When you're going downhill, the bike is pushed so hard, the brakes heat up so much. So that's why it runs 203s to give you the leverage. and it also gives you, between hitting this part and going right the way around, come back around hitting it there, it has time to cool. Whereas a 160, I melted a couple of 160s, absolutely fried them, had serious brake fade on one of my XC bikes, and that's why I run 203s in it. Simple as that. They're huge. Everybody's like, my God, look at the size of your brakes. Yeah, well, do you run a bump good trailer? No. Well, that's why I run it. The derailleur is one of the Shimano Diors. Normally I'd have a clutch, the mountain bike stuff, but it's a road bike, it doesn't really need a clutch. It runs custom jockeys, purple jockeys. Just little touches, you know. Same with the valve caps, purple valve caps. The same Kinesis back wheel, Kinesis Max Light V2, not the V1, V2. Fantastic, really good set of wheels, can't recommend them enough. What else is there? Not much else. Carbon seat posts. I will get carbon bars at some point, but I want to buy branded because I've snapped 3 sets of carbon bars already, so I don't want to buy unbranded ones. I am a rental dealer, but you know, £70 odd a set of bars, and that's trade, normally £135 if you want to buy them retail, so they're quite expensive. Both front and rear is quick release on this bike as well. It is an old bike, it's an old design. Planet X have stopped making them, sadly, because they were well loved. They were simple, done everything you need to do, could fit a decent sized tyre on it as well. Bottle racks, 2x10 shifters, and I don't know if there's anything else you want to know. I don't think there's anything else I want to tell you. Can't see anything else, so yeah, that is my tour bike. Yeah, a shot out. That's that. I walk round the way. Thompson's bars are nice. I really like Thompson's bars, although I will probably get 40mm riser bars rather than 20mm riser bars and lower them down a little bit so there's less steer on it, just like that kind of style as well. Simple rear light setup, just the one. I think normally I have 2, but I think one's on one of my other bikes. When you've got 4 bikes, buying 4 sets of lights is quite expensive. SLX cranks as well. I like the SLX cranks. Fantastic. In fact, I like just about anything that's SLX. Really good quality. There's your rear brake with the purple on it. Purple's just for aesthetics. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Right, enough of me waffling on. Thanks if you watched it and you think it's okay. If you have any comments, questions, of course, just ask me. It's not a problem. If your comments are rude, I really don't care. I'll just ban you. Thank you. Cheers now. Bye.